Liam walked slowly along the edge of the forest, the soft crunch of leaves under his shoes echoing in the quiet morning. He carried a small notebook, filled with sketches of plants he had found in the area. Liam was a botanist, and he loved studying plants more than anything. His curiosity often took him to hidden paths and forgotten places, looking for flowers or trees that no one had noticed. Today, he had wandered farther than usual, following the sound of birds and the scent of damp earth. After a while, he noticed something unusual. Behind a thick wall of ivy and tall grass, a structure peeked out. Its glass panes were dusty, some broken, and the wooden frame was dark with age. Liam stepped closer and realized it was an abandoned greenhouse. Its roof was partially covered with moss, and the door hung on one hinge, creaking slightly in the wind. A small warmth seemed to rise from the inside, almost like the greenhouse was alive. Liam's curiosity grew. He pushed the door open slowly. A soft groan of old wood filled the air, but the greenhouse welcomed him with a strange, gentle warmth. Inside, the air was heavy with the smell of soil and old plants. Broken pots lay scattered across the floor, and vines twisted around rusted shelves. Liam knelt and touched one of the leaves. It was still alive, green and soft, despite the neglect. He smiled to himself. Somewhere in this forgotten place, life was still thriving. As he moved further in, he noticed a figure sitting quietly in the corner. She had long brown hair tied back, and her hands were busy sketching in a notebook. Liam froze for a moment, not wanting to startle her. She hummed softly to herself, her eyes focused on a small plant she was drawing. There was something gentle and calm about her presence that made Liam feel at ease, even though he had just discovered her in this hidden place. "I'm sorry," Liam said carefully, stepping forward. "I didn't mean to intrude." The girl looked up, surprised. Her eyes were a warm shade of brown, curious but not angry. "Oh," she said softly. "I didn't see you come in." "It's okay. I guess. I wasn't expecting anyone here." "I'm Liam," he said, offering a small smile. I study plants. This greenhouse, it's amazing. I didn't know it existed." "I'm Emma," she replied. "I like to sketch plants I find. This place, it has a lot of interesting ones." They stood quietly for a moment, looking around the greenhouse together. Liam admired how Emma had arranged some of the surviving plants carefully on the shelves, giving them a little life amid the decay. Emma noticed his interest and felt a small warmth in her chest. It was rare for someone to appreciate this forgotten place the way she did. "I was thinking of trying to restore it," Liam said suddenly, his voice thoughtful. "It could become a beautiful place again. With the right care, it could thrive." Emma tilted her head, studying him. "Restore it? That would take a lot of work. And who knows if it's even possible." "I like challenges," Liam said with a shy smile. "And I don't mind helping." Emma hesitated. She was used to working alone, protecting the plants in her own quiet way. But something in Liam's eyes, his excitement and gentle energy, made her consider it. Maybe we can try together," she said softly. Liam felt a spark of hope. "I'd like that." For the next few minutes, they walked through the greenhouse, pointing out plants and imagining what it could look like if it were restored. Sunlight fell through the dusty glass, making the air shimmer. Outside, the forest was quiet, but inside, the greenhouse seemed alive again, filled with possibility and warmth. As Liam finally stepped out to catch his breath, he turned to Emma. "I'll come back tomorrow. We can start cleaning, maybe save some of the plants. Emma nodded, her eyes reflecting a mix of excitement and nervousness. Tomorrow, then. As Liam walked back through the forest path, he couldn't stop thinking about the greenhouse and about the girl who had been there, quietly bringing life back to forgotten plants. Something told him that this abandoned place was only the beginning of an unexpected journey. The next morning, Liam arrived at the edge of the forest earlier than usual. Sunlight poured through the trees, and the air smelled of wet earth and flowers. The abandoned greenhouse stood quietly, almost like it had been waiting for him. He pushed the ivy aside and carefully opened the creaking door. Inside, Emma was already there. She was kneeling beside a small table, arranging broken pots and clearing away dry leaves. When she saw Liam, she smiled faintly. "You came early," she said, brushing her hair behind her ear. "I wanted to start," Liam replied. "We have a lot of work ahead." Emma nodded. "I'm not sure how much we can do. The greenhouse is in bad shape." They began by cleaning the floor, moving broken pots, and sweeping away the dust. Liam worked methodically, carefully checking each plant, while Emma moved quickly, her energy almost chaotic but full of life. Almost immediately, they clashed. "Be careful with that," Liam said, reaching for a small fern that Emma had almost knocked over. "I'm being careful," Emma replied sharply, her hands still moving fast. "You don't have to hover over every plant." "I'm just trying not to ruin it," Liam said, a little frustrated. Emma sighed and stepped back. "Fine. I'll slow down." Despite the tension, there was something quietly comforting about working together. Liam noticed how gently Emma touched the leaves, as if she could feel their story. Emma noticed Liam's patience, how he studied each plant and treated them with respect. Slowly, the irritation began to fade, replaced by curiosity about each other. As the morning passed, they discovered small plants that had survived the years of neglect. Tiny flowers peeked through cracked pots, and vines climbed slowly along rusted shelves. Liam knelt to inspect a small plant with soft green leaves. "Look at this," he said, pointing. "It's amazing. Somehow, it survived on its own." Emma smiled softly. "Plants are stronger than people think," she said. "Sometimes, they just need a little care to thrive." A sudden rumble of clouds outside made them look up. Rain had begun to fall, light at first but quickly turning into a steady drizzle. Liam glanced at the broken roof and frowned. "We should take cover," he said. Emma nodded, moving toward the center of the greenhouse. They ended up sitting on the wooden floor, surrounded by plants. The warmth inside the greenhouse was gentle, and the sound of raindrops hitting the glass made the place feel like a small, private world. Liam noticed Emma shivering slightly. Without thinking, he took off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. "Thanks," she said quietly, her face brushing against his arm. Neither moved for a moment, and the air between them seemed charged with something new. Liam's heart beat a little faster, but he quickly returned to talking about plants to hide his nervousness. When the rain slowed, they started moving pots back to safer areas. Liam handed a heavy pot to Emma, but their hands met while lifting it. They both froze for a second, then laughed awkwardly. "I guess teamwork works," Liam said. Emma smiled, a little embarrassed. "Yeah, teamwork." As the day went on, the greenhouse slowly began to feel alive again. Sunlight broke through the clouds, casting warm light on the shelves. Liam and Emma worked side by side, sometimes arguing about the best way to place a plant, sometimes sharing quiet laughter. Each moment built a small bridge between them, a connection that neither of them could ignore. By the end of the day, they sat together on the floor, exhausted but satisfied. The greenhouse no longer looked completely abandoned, it had life again, tiny shoots and green leaves poking through old soil. Liam looked at Emma and smiled. "We did a lot today." Emma nodded. "Yeah, maybe we really can bring this place back." She paused and looked around, then back at him. "I'm glad you came, Liam." He smiled, feeling warmth not just from the greenhouse, but from being near her. "Me too, Emma." "Me too." As they left the greenhouse, the sun was low in the sky, casting long shadows across the forest path. Both felt something stirring inside them, a mix of excitement for the greenhouse, and something quieter, softer, growing between them. Neither said it aloud, but both knew this was just the beginning. The next day, the air was cool, and the sun rose slowly, painting the forest in soft shades of gold. Liam walked along the familiar path to the greenhouse, carrying a bag of small gardening tools. He felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Working with Emma had been wonderful, but he sensed that there were still pieces of her story he didn't know. When he arrived, Emma was already there, kneeling among pots of sprouting plants. She looked up and smiled warmly. "Good morning, Liam. Ready for another long day?" "Always," he replied, stepping inside. The greenhouse already smelled of damp soil and new life, and the sunlight streaming through the dusty panes gave the plants a golden glow. Liam began moving pots carefully while Emma organized her sketches. As they worked, Liam noticed that Emma seemed quiet, thoughtful. He hesitated, then asked softly, "Emma, why do you spend so much time with plants? I mean, why all this care for a place no one notices?" Emma paused, brushing a strand of hair from her face. She looked at a small plant she had rescued weeks ago, her fingers gently tracing its leaves. I lost my parents when I was young," she admitted quietly. "Plants feel safe to me. They don't judge, and caring for them, it helps me feel like I can protect something." Liam listened, touched by her honesty. "I never knew." "I'm sorry, Emma. That must have been hard." She shook her head. "It was, but it also taught me something. Life is fragile, but it can grow again if someone cares. That's why I like this greenhouse. It's forgotten, but it still has life." Liam nodded thoughtfully. "I feel the same way. That's why I want to restore it. I want to make it a place where life can thrive, and maybe where people can enjoy it too." Emma smiled softly, a warmth in her eyes that Liam had not seen before. Their hands brushed as they moved a row of pots together, and for a moment, both paused, feeling the quiet connection between them. As the morning passed, they worked side by side, laughing over small mistakes and sharing discoveries. Liam pointed out a tiny flower that had survived the years of neglect, and Emma carefully sketched it. "It's beautiful," Liam said. "Almost like it's saying thank you for noticing." Emma laughed softly. "I think all plants want to be noticed. That's why I draw them." Suddenly, the sound of footsteps outside the greenhouse made them look up. A small group of townspeople had arrived, curious about the greenhouse. One of them held a folded paper. "This place, it's going to be demolished," a man said. "The city wants to clear it to make space for something new." Emma felt her chest tighten. "Demolished? But, we've been saving it." Liam stepped forward calmly. "We're restoring it. Look at the plants, life is coming back. This greenhouse is important." The townspeople exchanged uncertain glances. Some looked impressed by the growth, others doubtful. Emma glanced at Liam, her heart beating fast. She felt a mix of fear and determination. Maybe we can show them it's worth saving, she said softly. Liam nodded. We will. Together. After the townspeople left, Emma sighed and sank to the floor, tired but relieved. Liam sat beside her, handing her a small cloth to wipe her hands. You know, he said quietly, I'm really glad I met you. Not just because of the greenhouse, but because of you. Emma's cheeks turned slightly pink. She looked down at her hands, then back at him. I feel the same way, she admitted softly. I didn't expect to meet someone who cares as much as I do. For a few moments, they simply sat together, surrounded by the warmth of the greenhouse and the soft light filtering through the glass. Outside, the forest swayed gently in the breeze, but inside, it felt like a small, safe world, one they were creating together. As the afternoon sun began to lower, Liam stood and extended his hand to Emma. Tomorrow, we start repairing the shelves and windows. We can show everyone that this place is worth keeping. Emma took his hand, squeezing it gently. Tomorrow, she agreed. And as they left the greenhouse together, both felt a quiet hope, not just for the plants, but for what might grow between them. The greenhouse had already started giving them something more than life for plants. It was giving them warmth, trust, and the first sparks of something neither of them wanted to ignore. The morning sun spilled through the trees, lighting the forest path with gold. Liam walked toward the greenhouse carrying a box of tools, feeling a quiet excitement. Today, he and Emma had a plan: to repair the broken shelves, fix the glass panes, and begin making the greenhouse truly alive again. The air was crisp, and the birds sang as if cheering them on. When he arrived, Emma was already there, kneeling beside a row of tiny plants, gently moving each into new pots. Her hair was tied back, and dirt smudged her hands and cheeks. She looked up and smiled. You're on time, she said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I couldn't wait to start, Liam replied, stepping inside. The greenhouse smelled of wet soil and growth, a comforting mix that made Liam feel at home. They began work immediately. Liam lifted a long wooden shelf, inspecting its cracks, while Emma carefully cleaned broken pots. They moved with a rhythm, each knowing the other's pace better than yesterday. But even with their growing comfort, small disagreements appeared. Careful with that glass, Liam called as Emma reached for a shard to clean. I am being careful, Emma replied, her hands steady but her tone sharper than intended. They both laughed after a pause. I guess we're still getting used to each other, Liam said, smiling. Emma nodded, smiling back. Yeah, but I think we make a good team. As they worked, they discovered small surprises in the greenhouse. A tiny sprout peeked through a broken pot. A vine had climbed higher than they expected. Liam pointed at a delicate yellow flower. Look at this. It survived everything on its own. Emma knelt beside him. Plants are amazing, aren't they? They never give up, no matter how forgotten they are. Liam smiled, thinking of the greenhouse itself. It had been abandoned, ignored, yet life still thrived inside. It reminded him of people, two humans who could grow stronger when cared for. Hours passed quickly. Sunlight shifted, casting warm patterns on the floor, and the greenhouse slowly transformed. Broken shelves were repaired, shattered pots replaced, and the air felt fresher, filled with new life. Liam and Emma moved closer as they worked, their shoulders brushing, exchanging shy smiles. The small touches were comforting, a silent understanding growing between them. By midday, a storm rolled in suddenly. Dark clouds filled the sky, and rain began to pound on the greenhouse roof. Liam glanced up. "We should take cover inside." Emma agreed, and they moved toward the center of the greenhouse. The warmth inside was gentle, the sound of raindrops hitting the glass calming. Liam handed Emma a cloth to wipe her hands, and they worked together to move plants away from dripping spots. As the rain fell, the closeness of the space made their hearts beat faster. Small glances became longer, and when their hands touched while lifting a heavy pot, neither pulled away immediately. For a moment, words were unnecessary. The greenhouse, with its heat and life, had become a small world of its own. When the storm passed, the sun returned, casting a rainbow over the wet forest. Liam and Emma stepped outside briefly, admiring the colors reflected in the leaves. "We did a lot today," Liam said, his voice full of pride. Emma nodded, her eyes bright. "It's looking alive again. I can feel it, like it's happy." They returned to the greenhouse to finish small tasks, planting seeds and tidying shelves. With each plant they moved, each shelf they repaired, the greenhouse seemed to grow warmer, brighter, more welcoming. And with each shared laugh and gentle touch, Liam and Emma felt closer, the unspoken connection between them growing stronger. As the day ended, they sat on the wooden floor, exhausted but content. The greenhouse no longer felt abandoned. Tiny sprouts peeked from pots, leaves brushed the repaired shelves, and sunlight filtered through the cleaned glass. Liam looked at Emma and smiled. "We've done something amazing together." Emma returned the smile, a soft warmth in her eyes. "Yes, together." For the first time, they noticed how much they had grown, not just the greenhouse, but themselves. And while the plants would bloom with care, they both realized that something new had begun between them, delicate but strong, just like the life around them. The morning sun peeked through the trees, casting long shadows across the forest path. Liam walked toward the greenhouse, carrying a small toolbox and a few extra pots. His steps were light, but he felt a quiet nervousness today. The greenhouse was growing more alive, and so were his feelings for Emma. He wondered if she felt the same. When he arrived, Emma was already inside, kneeling beside a row of sprouting flowers. She looked up and smiled warmly. "Good morning, Liam. Ready for another day of work?" "Always," he replied, smiling back. The greenhouse smelled fresh, filled with the earthy scent of soil and new growth. Liam loved this place, not only for the plants but for the quiet moments it gave him with Emma. They began working on repairing the shelves near the back, lifting boards and tightening old nails. Liam was careful, making sure the shelves were strong enough to hold the heaviest pots. Emma moved quickly, arranging plants as they finished each section. Despite their cooperation, accidents still happened. "Watch out!" Liam called suddenly as a loose board shifted under his weight. In the process, he slipped slightly and twisted his ankle. Pain shot through his leg, and he sat down quickly, wincing. Emma rushed to him immediately. "Liam, are you okay?" she asked, her voice full of concern. She helped him sit more comfortably and examined his ankle. "It hurts a bit," Liam admitted, trying to smile. "I think I can still manage." "You need to rest," Emma said firmly. "Come on, sit here." She led him to a soft patch of soil near the center of the greenhouse and helped him lean against a shelf. She knelt beside him, carefully removing dirt from his jacket. As she worked, Liam felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the greenhouse. Emma's hands were gentle, her eyes filled with concern. He realized how much he trusted her, how safe he felt in her presence. "I'm sorry," Liam said quietly. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." "You're not trouble," Emma replied softly. "I care about you. That's what matters." Liam looked at her, feeling a quiet swell of emotion. "I care about you too," he admitted. "More than I expected." Emma's cheeks turned slightly pink. She looked down at her hands for a moment, then back at him. I feel the same way," she said softly. The moment hung in the air, quiet and fragile. Liam reached out slowly, taking her hand in his. Emma didn't pull away. Instead, she squeezed it gently, a small smile playing on her lips. The greenhouse, warm and alive around them, seemed to embrace their connection. For a while, they simply sat together, hands entwined, listening to the soft rustle of leaves outside and the gentle sway of vines inside. Words were unnecessary. The shared silence was comforting, full of unspoken understanding and growing affection. Eventually, Liam's gaze fell on a small fern near them. "Look at this," he said, pointing. "It survived so long without much care. It reminds me of us, in a way. Sometimes things can grow stronger, even when they seem forgotten." Emma smiled, leaning slightly closer. "Yes, and with care, they can thrive." Their laughter was soft, blending with the warm light filtering through the greenhouse glass. Outside, the forest moved gently in the breeze, but inside, the greenhouse felt like a small, private world, one that belonged to them for these moments. As the afternoon approached, Liam slowly stood, using Emma's hand to steady himself. "Thank you for helping me," he said quietly. "Not just today, but for everything, for being here." Emma returned the hand squeeze. "I wouldn't want to be anywhere else." They worked for the rest of the day carefully, taking turns moving pots and repairing small shelves, their closeness adding a quiet warmth to the greenhouse. Every touch, every shared glance, strengthened the bond forming between them. By the time the sun began to set, the greenhouse glowed with soft golden light. Liam and Emma sat together, tired but happy, watching their work come to life. Tiny sprouts reached toward the light, and amidst them, a quiet hope began to bloom between the two humans who had found warmth not just in the greenhouse but in each other. The sun rose bright and warm, spreading golden light across the forest. Liam walked toward the greenhouse carrying a small basket of seedlings. Today was different. They had decided to invite neighbors and friends to help restore the greenhouse. It was a chance not only to save the plants but to show the community how beautiful the space could become. When Liam arrived, Emma was already inside, kneeling beside a row of small flowers. She looked up and smiled warmly. "Good morning, Liam. Are you ready for a busy day?" "I am," Liam replied with a grin. "Let's see if we can make this place shine." The greenhouse was quiet at first, just the two of them preparing tools, cleaning pots, and arranging seedlings. Soon, voices called from the forest path. Neighbors began arriving, curious and excited. Some carried tools, others brought small plants or gardening gloves. Emma's heart warmed as she saw people smiling and eager to help. Liam greeted them with quiet enthusiasm. "Thank you for coming," he said. "Together, we can bring life back to this greenhouse." The group moved inside, filling the abandoned space with laughter, chatter, and energy. Liam and Emma assigned small tasks, some swept the floor, others repaired shelves, and a few carefully planted seedlings. Slowly, the greenhouse began to transform. Dusty shelves were wiped clean, broken glass was replaced, and the smell of fresh soil filled the air. Emma worked beside Liam, handing him pots and moving plants. Every now and then, their hands brushed, each touch sending a warm, quiet thrill through both of them. They shared smiles, a growing connection that felt both tender and exciting. As the morning turned into afternoon, the greenhouse was filled with color and life. Tiny flowers peeked through the soil, climbing vines wrapped around new supports, and leaves glistened in the sunlight. Liam paused to admire their progress. "Look at this," he said, pointing. "We've done something amazing." Emma nodded, her eyes shining. "Yes, it's alive again. And it feels warm, like it's welcoming everyone who cares." During a break, the community gathered in the center of the greenhouse. People shared stories about why they had come, how much they loved seeing something once forgotten come back to life. Emma and Liam listened quietly, hearts full. The greenhouse had become more than a place for plants, it was a symbol of hope, teamwork, and human kindness. As the last pots were planted and the shelves repaired, Liam looked at Emma. The soft light of the late afternoon caught her hair, making it glow. Without thinking, he took her hand in his. Emma looked at him, surprise and warmth mixing in her expression. I'm glad we did this together," Liam said quietly. "Not just the greenhouse, but everything." Emma squeezed his hand gently. "Me too, Liam. I've never felt this way before." Their connection, fragile yet strong, had grown through work, laughter, and care. In the greenhouse, surrounded by life they had nurtured together, their feelings finally found a voice. Slowly, Liam leaned closer. Emma met him halfway, and their first kiss was soft, tender, and full of the promise of something new. Around them, the greenhouse seemed to glow brighter, as if celebrating their moment. The plants, the repaired shelves, and the sunlight all combined to create a space of warmth and hope. The community clapped and cheered quietly, not wanting to disturb the intimate moment, but their smiles showed support. As the day ended, people began leaving, waving, and thanking Liam and Emma. The greenhouse was now fully alive, filled with color, warmth, and the shared effort of many hands. Liam and Emma stayed behind, walking among the plants, hands still intertwined. "It's beautiful," Emma said softly, her voice full of awe. "Yes," Liam replied, looking around. "And it's just the beginning." They sat together on a repaired bench, tired but happy, surrounded by the warmth of the greenhouse. Not just the heat of the sun or the warmth of the plants, but the warmth of human care, kindness, and love. Together, they had restored more than a greenhouse, they had created a place where life, hope, and connection could grow. And as the sun set, painting the glass panes gold and pink, Liam and Emma realized that the greenhouse had given them something even more precious, each other. The greenhouse had never looked so alive. Sunlight streamed through the clean glass panes, illuminating rows of vibrant plants and colorful flowers. Vines climbed gracefully along repaired shelves, and tiny sprouts peeked from pots across the room. The air smelled of fresh soil, growth, and warmth, a comforting mix that made the space feel like a small paradise. Liam and Emma walked slowly among the plants, hands intertwined, taking in the transformation. Months of care, work, and patience had turned the abandoned greenhouse into a place full of life. But more than that, it had become a place of connection, hope, and a quiet love that had grown between them. "Can you believe this is the same place we found months ago?" Liam asked, a smile lighting his face. He gestured to the vibrant rows around them. It's amazing what a little care can do. Emma laughed softly, brushing her fingers along the leaves of a small fern. It's more than care, she said. It's love. Not just for the plants, but for this place, and for each other. Liam stopped walking and turned to her, his eyes soft. Emma. I never expected to find someone like you here. Someone who cares so much about life, about growth, about everything. Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest. I feel the same, Liam. I've never felt so understood before. This place brought us together, but you made it even more special. They paused near a sunlit window, where the plants were brightest and the air felt warmest. Liam reached out gently, tucking a strand of hair behind Emma's ear. I want us to keep growing together, he said softly. Not just here, but in life, together. Emma smiled, her eyes glistening. Yes, together, she whispered. And then, without another word, they leaned into each other, sharing a soft, tender kiss. It was the kind of kiss that spoke of patience, care, and the quiet joy of finding someone who truly understood you. After a moment, they pulled back slightly, still holding hands. Around them, the greenhouse seemed to glow, celebrating not just the plants but the bond they had nurtured. Each flower, each leaf, was a testament to their effort and shared care. The sound of birds outside reminded them of the forest beyond the greenhouse, alive and free. Liam and Emma began walking through the rows of plants, noticing small details they hadn't before: a tiny yellow flower hiding in a pot, a vine wrapping neatly around a shelf. They laughed softly as they rediscovered the little miracles they had nurtured together. As evening approached, the golden light filtered through the glass, making the greenhouse shimmer. Liam pulled Emma close. This place, it's perfect, he said quietly. But not because of the plants. Because we did it together. And because we're here, together. Emma rested her head on his shoulder. I couldn't imagine it any other way, she said. The warmth of their closeness matched the warmth of the greenhouse, creating a small world where everything felt right. They spent the rest of the evening arranging a few remaining pots and making plans for the future. Liam suggested adding more rare plants and creating little corners where anyone from the town could sit and enjoy the greenhouse. Emma smiled at the idea, imagining children and neighbors visiting, laughing and learning about plants. As the sun set completely, painting the glass in shades of pink and orange, Liam and Emma sat on a bench at the center of the greenhouse. The plants swayed gently in the evening breeze, as if nodding in approval. Both felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. They had brought life back to a forgotten place, and in doing so, had discovered a love that was patient, strong, and nurturing. Emma leaned against Liam, her hand in his. We've grown so much, she whispered. Not just the greenhouse, but us. Liam nodded, smiling. And we'll keep growing. Together. The greenhouse, alive and warm, stood as a symbol of human care, hope, and love. It was more than a place for plants, it was a place where life thrived, hearts connected, and new beginnings blossomed. And as Liam and Emma watched the stars begin to appear through the glass roof, they knew that this was only the start of their shared journey, full of life, warmth, and the quiet beauty of togetherness.